Why don't most modern Christians keep the Sabbath? Many would say, what do you mean? I keep the Sabbath every Sunday when I attend church services. While there is nothing wrong with going to church on Sunday, that's not actually keeping the Sabbath according to the Bible. In fact, the Sabbath isn't even on Sunday. It's on the seventh day, Saturday, or technically Friday evening to Saturday evening. The seventh day is the Sabbath, which is the day the Bible says to keep holy. Just a heads up that my new book on the Sabbath was recently released. It's called Remember the Sabbath, What the New Testament Says About Sabbath Observance for Christians. If you've ever wondered about the Sabbath and whether or not it applies to Christians, I wrote this book for you. I argue from the New Testament that Christians should remember the Sabbath. I also answer all the common objections from those who say that the Sabbath was done away with or changed in the New Testament. I even have a chapter answering your frequently asked questions about the Sabbath. Look at how much this person loves her copy of Remember the Sabbath. This could be you. Here's Spider-Man taking a break, a Sabbath rest, if you will, to hang on the side of a building and read my book. Resting gives him the energy he needs to apprehend criminals and save the day. Get your copy of Remember the Sabbath at sabbathbook.com and you will be as cool as Spider-Man. So where were we? Yes, the Sabbath is not on Sunday, but the seventh day, Saturday. But some have said that the Sabbath was changed from Saturday to Sunday. This is a popular opinion among modern Christians. However, many Christians might be surprised to learn that the New Testament itself does not endorse this change. Sunday was not widely considered a replacement of the Sabbath in Christianity until centuries after the time of the Apostles. I go into much more detail in my book, Remember the Sabbath, but there is no evidence in the New Testament that Sunday replaced the Sabbath. While there are a couple of passages that mention early believers meeting on Sunday, there is no indication that these were weekly meetings, let alone that the earliest Christians had any intention of abandoning the Sabbath. In fact, according to the book of Acts, the earliest Christians continued to observe the Sabbath. Luke records that it was Paul's custom to worship in the synagogue on the Sabbath, just like it was Jesus' custom. According to New Testament scholar Harold Weiss, the New Testament shows that the Sabbath occupied a prominent position in the early Christian communities. How did we get to where we are today with most Christians not keeping the Sabbath on the seventh day and worshiping on Sunday instead? We will explore that question soon, but first, while the transition from Sabbath to Sunday began early in Christian history, many might be surprised to learn that this change was not immediate, nor was it universal among Christians. For instance, two 5th century church historians, Socrates Scholasticus and Sozomen, testify that almost all Christians outside of Alexandria and Rome continued to observe the Sabbath alongside Sunday. This is significant evidence that demonstrates that, quote, even as late as the 5th century, almost the entire Christian world observed both Saturday and Sunday for special religious services. According to the historical evidence, the early Christians did not consider Sunday a replacement for the Sabbath. Again, outside of Alexandria and Rome, most Christians observed both days. According to Christian historian Justo Gonzalez, the linking of the fourth commandment with Sunday observances, which would later become commonplace in Christian piety and theology, is notably absent from the ancient church. The earliest unambiguous evidence we have of Sunday observance is from the 2nd century AD, the Epistle of Barnabas, written in Alexandria, and Justin Martyr of Rome's First Apology. During this time, there was growing conflict between Jews and the empire. This conflict, quote, made it necessary for Christians to develop a new identity in order to avoid the repressive and punitive measures, fiscal, military, political, and literary, aimed at the Jews. It would appear that the abandoning of Sabbath observance and adoption of exclusive Sunday observance emerged first in Alexandria and Rome and was largely motivated by an anti-Jewish sentiment. According to Christian scholar Skip McCarty, quote, anti-Jewish sentiment led some church leaders to disparage keeping the Sabbath of the Ten Commandments to help separate Christianity from Judaism. But once again, again, these motivations were not universal. As we saw earlier, many Christians living outside of Alexandria and Rome continued to observe the Sabbath in addition to Sunday as late as the 5th century AD. In any case, the earliest Christians did not consider Sunday a replacement of the Sabbath. In fact, Sunday was not originally a day of rest. According to scholar Kenneth Strand, quote, "When the Christian weekly Sunday first emerged, it continued to be a day of work, although it included a worship service in honor of Christ's resurrection." So, how did Sunday eventually become recognized as the quote-unquote Christian Sabbath? Well, on March 7th, 321 AD, the long process of Sunday taking on the characteristics of the Sabbath and replacing the seventh day as the Sabbath was initiated. On this date, the Emperor Constantine decreed that Sunday would be a day of rest. Justo Gonzalez summarizes the significance that this edict had for Christians. Quote, "Now that Sunday became a day of rest, civil laws had to determine what work was lawful on that day. This was soon followed by ecclesiastical laws, also determining which activities were allowed on Sunday and which were forbidden. Under such circumstances, it is not surprising that Sunday was now connected with Sabbath rest and with the commandment ordering it. This was the great change introduced by Constantine's decree. It brought about a connection between Sunday and Sabbath rest that was not present in earlier Christian thought and devotion. In the long run, this would lead to discussions as to whether Sunday abolished the Sabbath, whether Christian worship should be on the Sabbath, and so on. Constantine's decree opened the door for later ecclesiastical authorities to discourage Sabbath observance and mandate Sunday observance exclusively. As time went on, church authorities increasingly disparaged Sabbath observance and promoted only Sunday observance. As Strand remarks, quote, "This process brought about a widespread conflict of Sunday with the seventh-day Sabbath, and eventually in medieval times, this Sunday Sabbath came to displace the original Saturday Sabbath generally throughout Europe." After the Reformation, in English-speaking countries, Sunday not only replaced the Sabbath, but also even came to be called the Sabbath. Protestant Christian confessions, sermons, and literature all affirm the Sabbath commandment, yet Sunday is what is meant. So, the Sabbath was changed from Saturday to Sunday not by the Scriptures, but by political edicts and church councils centuries after the time of the Apostles. Now, my hope in sharing this information is not to disparage Sunday church services. There is nothing wrong with going to church on Sunday, or any day for that matter. Historically, we know that Christians did hold religious services on Sunday. My concern is not with that tradition itself, but it's a problem when our traditions make void explicit commandments. We must not be like the Pharisees whom Jesus rebuked by saying, "You have a fine way of rejecting the commandment of God in order to establish your tradition." May we as Christians uphold the Scriptures as our final authority. The fourth commandment says to honor the Sabbath. The seventh day, not the first day or any other day, is a holy day that God told us to keep. It is time that we remember the Sabbath.